Sometimes I wonder why I do a How the Sausage Gets Made video every year. How come? Well, when I first made one of these in 2019, it was just to outline to all of you my process for making a video, which really comes down to step 1, come up with idea for video. Step 2, decide if it's a good one or not. Step 3, write a pie in the sky version of the script. Step 4, figure out if I have the other people I need, the equipment, the resources, the money that I need to make it. Step 5, if I do, go on ahead and do it. If I don't, rewrite it into something I can actually make. But almost the same time I did that, I abandoned the history segments and double features that had been a hallmark of Did I Get What I Paid For since before it was even on YouTube. Back when it was a column on the late great Collector Times. Back then I would review 4 or 5 trade paperbacks a month and try to group them by theme. I kept that format when it switched over to videos. But over time I realized doing comedy sketches and story segments was a lot more interesting, entertaining, and really an easier way to fill that time. With the sketches came more characters. So apart from Tim, Ralph, and Torgo, I would need more people involved. Before he moved, getting Matt to come do sketches was easy enough. He used to live down the street. But I've had other people help me out. Marche, Danny, and of course, Nick. But doing that during a pandemic isn't easy. So I want to show you guys how I do it. Because usually it works. Okay, it did force me to go dark on my channel for about a month there, but usually it works. And when it does, it's like this. It takes me about 2 or 3 days to shoot the average Did I Get What I Paid For episode. On the first day, I shoot just the sketches and occasionally a few pages of the review. But the sketches tend to look like this. And yeah, I'm going to show you a clip from the Quantum Leap episode for a reason. Let's see if you guys can figure out what it is.
So, the only people you have left to do movies for as late Christmas presents are Nick, not me, Mark and a counterpart, Marche, Amir, Dave, the black furry barky thing.
You mean Gizmo? No, we're not letting the dog pick the movie. He'd want me to review Melissa Benoist singing Running Home to You. But I think you're forgetting Danny. But don't worry, I'll get to his pick eventually.
No, you don't have to do Danny. You just did Quantum Leap.
I did?
Yeah, didn't you?
I don't think so. So, who's this other person?
Matt?
Matt? Matt who? Do I know a Matt?
He's been your best friend for years.
I think I'd remember that. Forget about it. I have to go pick the next episode.
Ahem. Those Christmas gift episodes will have to wait.
Why?
Next month is July.
And
by royal decree, we must watch one of the holiday films.
no, not.
Yes, Captain America 2, Death Too Soon.
No! No! You notice something there? That's right, it's a scene where I had to interact directly with both Nick and Ralph. You might notice that Ralph and Nick don't sound right. That's because Matt and I were doing what director Sam Raimi calls chumping. He would do the voices on set so that I would have something to play off of. There is one instance where I recorded both my dialogue and Ralph's at the same time, but we'll get to that later. After all the principal photography is done, I go into editing. I remove all the audio where Matt's voice is being used for Ralph. Then I get a little gizmo. No, not that gizmo. This here is a Roland R7 audio recorder. If I put batteries in it and turn it on, I can press the rehearsal button and start speaking. It can more or less figure out where its audio level should be automatically. Then I hit record and record all my lines as Ralph. The fact that this is not an audio effect is inconceivable. After I do that, I start editing and putting the Ralph audio where Matt's audio used to be, and the sketch looks like this.
So, the only people you have left to do movies for as late Christmas presents are Nick, not me, Mark, and a counterpart, Marche, Amir, Dave, the black furry barky thing.
You mean Gizmo? No, we're not letting the dog pick the movie. He'd want me to review Melissa Benoist singing Running Home to You. But I think you're forgetting Danny. But don't worry, I'll get to his pick eventually.
No, you don't have to do Danny. You just did Quantum Leap.
I did?
Yeah, didn't you?
I don't think so. So, who's this other person?
Matt?
Matt? Matt who? Do I know a Matt?
He's been your best friend for years.
I think I'd remember that. Forget about it. I have to go pick the next episode. Ahem. Those Christmas present movies will have to wait. Why? Next month is July. And by royal decree, we have to do one of the holiday films. No, not. That's right. Captain America 2, Death Too Soon. No, no! That seems a bit more normal, right? Well, while all this is going on, I've usually been annoying, poking, and prodding Nick. At which point, one of two things will happen. Either he'll go to his office and record his lines on his own, or, because of how well things went during the recording of To Boldly Watch, we'll try to schedule a time that we can meet on Zoom and record his lines that way. The funny thing is, the first time we did a Zoom room recording for Did I Get What I Paid For, Nick was a bit reluctant. But once he could hear me imitating my original performance as close as possible, he was able to see the benefit. He could make better choices right away and not have to do as many takes. If it's a scene where I'm being an idiot, then he knows he has to be the unfunny one. If I'm being dour, deadpan, or a little more serious, he knows he is absolutely free to go apeshit. He knows it'll make me laugh or get used in the bloopers, But sometimes I go out of my way to surprise him and use the Nick take anyway. Or even weirder, there are cases where I know Nick hasn't looked at the script. I haven't told him about a joke. And I'll cut it. And somehow he'll come up with the same idea at the exact same spot, and I'll feel like an idiot for having cut it in the first place. But in any event, once I have Nick's recordings, I go back to editing and the sketch will look like this.
So the only people you have left to do movies for as late Christmas presents are Nick, not me, my organic counterpart, Marche, Amir, Dave, Scott, Talia, Zoe, the black furry thing.
Gizmo, no, we're not letting the dog pick the movie. He'd want me to review Melissa Benoist singing Running Home to You. But I think you're forgetting Danny. But don't worry, I'll get to his pick eventually.
Nah, you don't have to do Danny. You just did Quantum Leap.
I did?
Yeah, didn't you?
I don't think so. So, who's this other person?
Matt.
Matt? Matt who? Do I know a Matt?
He's been your best friend for years.
I think I'd remember that. Forget about it. I have to go pick the next episode.
Ahem. Those Christmas present movies will have to wait.
Why?
Next month is July.
And
By royal decree, we have to do one of the holiday films.
no, not.
That's right. Captain America 2, Death Too Soon.
No! No! Another thing I wanted to talk about was the Saturday Morning Cartoon Chaos Spectacular Part 1. I don't have the second draft of the script for Part 2 finished yet, and I haven't even started watching the cartoons for Part 3, but Part 1 was an editing nightmare because from the cold open to the end credits, there isn't a single shot that doesn't have some kind of special effect on it. Even the Space Angel clips had to be panned and zoomed just to get them to be full screen. And the opening, well, was actually a lot easier than it looked. Wasabe has an outer space background template. It has that pre-generated bubble effect. To get the spaceship, well, I just had to get a few things from the Practical Special Effects Wizard's warehouse. By which I mean Dollar Tree. First, I got a Hot Wheel with a sort of 60s retro future look to it. Then I got some orange poster board. And finally, some of that orange Hot Wheel track. There was a small hiccup though. The shade of the poster board and the color of the track weren't as exact as I was hoping. However, it wasn't really a problem, because as long as I went into the chroma key and set the tolerances down low, almost every shade of orange would just be replaced with the image of outer space. This had the added effect of making the ship move in a very strange way that happened to be reminiscent of what you'd see in a 1960s sci-fi movie or cartoon, which worked perfectly because we were spoofing Space Angel. Speaking of which, I knew I was going to be reviewing some of the old Cambria cartoons, so I went all in. I was going to parody not only Syncabac's animation, but my own tendency to do 1 or 2 camera angles per day of shooting and adjusting the shots as needed in post. I think I went a bit overboard because I thought it would be funny if Nick and Ralph had real mouths, and in the end, I think I put more time and effort into parodying Space Angel than Cambria did making it. I thought it would be easy, but I was fucking wrong. It might have been easy back in the days of hand-drawn animation, but doing it in a modern video editing software was kinda hard. Lucky for me, I had done a bit of test footage as a proof of concept, and I knew it was going to be a nightmare before I even started. It's a test run to see if this effect will work. If not, I'll try something else, but this is gonna pretty much be what the episode is gonna look like once we get the effects done and processed. It should look a lot like Clutch Cargo or Space Angel, and if it doesn't, well, it means I've fucked something up. But I hope it works. It'll look weird, but those cartoons were sort of weird, so it'll make sense, sort of, I guess. Got a little bit too much of my nose there. That's gonna be a little hard to do when I do the final record on this, but it at least gives me an idea of what to check out for when I do the final thing. And my mouth will jump around, but they did on the cartoons too, so it'll look fine, I think. I hope. Because this is an effect I really want to do because I think it would make a really funny bit to include in the episode. I hope it works. I hope it works. I hope it works. We'll find out in just a minute or two. If it doesn't work, well, I'll try something else, but I think that would be a lot harder. This won't be too hard. Of course, this turned out to be to my advantage. You see, I had already written the sketches for the entire trilogy, so Nick and I came up with a solution to our scheduling problem. I would record just the review portions on my own. Then we would get together and do the sketches for part 1, the cold open for part 2, and Ralph and Nick's sections for all the sketches in one go. And here's the cool thing. We were going to do this over Zoom, but realized video files are huge and it might not be a good idea. But luckily we didn't have to. Nick's wife was going away for a few days on a trip, so I just got my camera and we did our first in-person jam session, which was great. Zoom is good for many things, but it doesn't let you hang out with your friends or give you the chance to work the giggles out when one of you has flubbed a line so badly that you're both laughing your asses off. Or work out a sort of on-the-set improvement to a scene. Or just hang out and demolish a bag of Chips Ahoy. I think during the recording session, Nick had an easier time than I did. But I was doing 2 characters and arguing with myself. And I think I only did the wrong character at the wrong time. Twice. Plus, by the time we got to part 2, my Ritalin was wearing off. But I don't think you can really notice that much. Well, mostly because you can't see most of my face. Plus, I drank 3 Cokes when I was at Potbelly, and any stimulant will help a little bit when it comes to ADHD management. Once I got the footage, I did some editing magic. A little cropping here, a little zooming there, and I had as little of the face apart from the mouth as possible. So it went from looking like footage of two idiots reading off a piece of paper in a living room to this.
What is going on? Why do we look so funny?
Because this is part 1 of the Saturday Morning Cartoon Chaos Spectacular trilogy.
And we're trying to replicate a Saturday morning of Jess's childhood as close as possible.
There's one more major change to the show that I want to talk about that you probably don't notice. Think back to season 0. Every movie I reviewed, apart from Nancy Drew, were public domain. Why Nancy Drew? Well, back then I still did double features, and I didn't want to have to track down one of the other black and white Warner Brothers Nancy Drew movies when I had the 2007 version checked out from the library. What can I say? I'm lazy. During season 1, Matt and I dug through our piles of DVDs and chose things we thought would make good episodes. Some of those initial picks turned out to be impossible to do because of COVID restrictions. One of these is finally being rectified. I'm looking at you, Flintstone kids. But there are a few others. Manos, Disaster the movie, and the remake of RoboCop that I am committed to getting to at some point. So far, season 2 has been a bit different. I'm going to be reviewing 28 different things over the course of 16 episodes. 11 of those things are chosen by people who have helped me out on various videos over the years, which really gives me roughly half of the episode load to pick myself. Well, really more like a third, because we do one Captain America related thing every July, and a Flintstones related video once a year. But we've done quite a few of my picks recently, so we probably won't get another one until the Christmas episode, which you guys should probably keep an eye out for. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe. And to really help the channel grow, visit patreon.com/parodyerrorfilms.